Imagine this scenario. You're on a date with an absolutely stunning woman. She's intelligent, witty, and turns heads wherever she goes. You'll treat her like a queen buying flowers, taking her to expensive dinners, texting her good morning every day. You're trying to be that perfect gentleman you were raised to be. But here's what's really happening. She's slowly losing interest, and you have no idea why. What I'm about to share with you could completely reshape your understanding of women and relationships. The uncomfortable truth that most men refuse to accept is this. For a woman to truly love you, desire you, and remain loyal, she can't feel completely secure in your affection. She must always feel she needs to strive to be worthy of your attention. Now, before you dismiss this as some manipulative pickup artistry, let me be clear. I'm not talking about cruelty or abuse. I'm talking about understanding the deepest psychological mechanisms that drive female attraction. If you stay with me, I'll reveal the exact psychology behind why women sometimes lose interest in men who treat them well. More importantly, I'll show you how to use this knowledge to create the kind of deep, lasting attraction most men only dream of. This might be one of the most important videos you'll ever watch on female psychology, so pay close attention. Let's start with the golden rule 1. Women are evolutionarily wired to seek partners with higher survival value. This isn't a conscious choice. It's an instinct etched into their DNA over millions of years. In our ancestral environment, women who chose men with superior resources, strength, or social status were more likely to survive and raise healthy offspring. Conversely, women who fell for the nice guy who brought them flowers saw their genetic longings end because he couldn't protect them from rival tribes or provide during harsh winters. This biological programming is called hypergamy, and it's still active in every woman's subconscious. Even in our modern world of supermarkets and security systems, her brain is running on ancient software. When a woman perceives a man's value as lower than or equal to her own, her attraction switch flips off. For tens of thousands of years, women had to be extremely selective because pregnancy made them vulnerable for 9 months. And raising children required enormous resources. A poor choice could mean death for her and her offspring. This created intense selective pressure, making them attracted only to men who displayed superior genes and resources. These ancient programs are still running in the background of every interaction you have with a woman. When you appear needy, desperate, or overly accommodating, you are signaling weakness and poor survival prospects to her primal instincts. Her subconscious picks up these signals and responds by diminishing attraction. This leads to the concept of sexual market value, or SMV. Think of dating as a marketplace. Everyone has a certain value based on their attractiveness, resources, personality, and social standing. The hard truth is, women are only truly attracted to men they perceive as having a higher SMV than themselves. This is where most men get it wrong. They think SMV is about your job, your car, your muscles, or your height. While these factors matter, they aren't the primary drivers of attraction. A woman's perception of your SMV depends far more on how you carry yourself, how you interact with her, and most crucially, how needy you seem for her approval. Let me give you a real example. I once knew a guy, a successful lawyer, drove a BMW, great shape. He'd take women to fancy restaurants, shower them with compliments, and was always available. Despite all these high-value markers, Women would lose interest after a few weeks. Compare him to another guy I knew, a bartender, living in a studio apartment, but with an abundant mindset. He'd take women to casual coffee shops, tease them playfully, and never seemed bothered if they didn't text back immediately. Women were obsessed with him, constantly trying to win his approval. What was the difference? The second guy understood that perceived value is more powerful than actual value. He acted like a man with options. The first guy's behavior screamed, "Please don't leave me." Women are constantly scanning for social cues about your value relative to other men. They watch how you handle rejection, respond to their tests, and carry yourself in social settings. These behavioral clues matter more than your bank account or your biceps. Golden rule number 2. The more uncertain a woman is about your level of interest, the more mental energy she invests in thinking about you. This is basic psychology. We value what we're uncertain of getting, and take for granted what we're sure we have. When you reveal all your cards immediately by being overly eager, constantly texting, and making it obvious you're completely smitten, you'll remove all mystery and challenge from the game. She no longer needs to work for your attention because you're giving it away freely. But when you maintain a degree of uncertainty about your feelings, something magical happens. Her mind fills with questions. Does he like me? Why hasn't he texted back? What is he doing right now? This mental occupation is the foundation of attraction. Let me show you how this works in practice. You meet a woman at a social event, have a great conversation, and exchange numbers. The typical guy texts her the next day saying, "Hey, I had a great time talking last night. You're amazing. When can I see you again?" The guy who knows how to conceal interest waits 3 days, then sends a simple text, "Coffee.Tuesday, 3 p.m. No excessive enthusiasm, no seeking validation, just a calm invitation that shows interest without desperation. The psychology here is that humans are naturally drawn to intermittent reinforcement. When rewards are consistent and predictable, we quickly adapt and lose interest. But when rewards are unpredictable, we get hooked psychologically. Your attention works the same way. When it's consistently predictable, she adapts and loses interest. When it's intermittent and unpredictable, she becomes psychologically invested in earning more. Think of your attention and approval as a currency. Like any currency, its value is determined by scarcity. When you give your approval too freely, it becomes worthless. When you make it something that must be earned through effort, it becomes precious. The fatal mistake most men make is spending their entire emotional budget up front. They lavish her with compliments, agree with everything she says, and make it clear she's the most incredible woman ever. What they don't realize is that they've used up all their emotional currency in a week. Women are experts at reading your investment level through your actions. She doesn't need to hear, "I love you." She can see it in how fast you reply to her texts, the light in your eyes when she enters a room, or how you rearrange your schedule to accommodate her whims. Here's what you need to understand. Women want to feel special, but they want to earn that feeling. When you give it away for free, it loses all meaning. When she has to work for your approval, it suddenly has value. I knew a guy who was dating a model. A woman used to men falling over themselves to please her. Instead of showering her with compliments about her looks like other men did, he'd occasionally acknowledge her intelligence when she said something insightful, or praised her sense of humor when she made him laugh. The key was that his approval was conditional based on her behavior, not just her existence. She had to earn it through her actions. This made his approval infinitely more valuable than the hollow praise she got from other men. One of the fastest ways to kill attraction is to become predictable. When she knows exactly how you'll respond to everything she does, when she can predict your schedule to the minute, when you become a known quantity, her interest will inevitably fade. This is why so many relationships start hot and exciting, but gradually become boring and routine. The man, trying to be a good boyfriend, becomes completely predictable, calling at the same time every day, taking her to the same types of places, responding the same way every time. Predictability signals to her subconscious that she has you completely figured out. This means she no longer needs to invest mental energy in understanding you. And when she stops investing mental energy in you, she stops feeling for you. This is why the bad boy stereotype is so powerful. It's not that women are attracted to men who treat them poorly. They're attracted to men who are unpredictable, who keep them guessing, who don't play by the usual rules. Here's a key insight. Women are constantly testing your interest level, not your capabilities. Most men think women are testing whether they're man enough or can handle their attitude. That's not it at all. She's testing how much you like her. Every time she acts a little cold, mentions another man, or seems unimpressed by what you're doing, she's gauging your reaction, seeing if you'll chase her approval. When you fail these tests by immediately trying to win back her favor, you're essentially telling her, I like you more than I like myself. Once she knows this, the power dynamic permanently shifts in her favor. Let me break down some specific tests, the comparison tests. What she does mentions how attractive another man is, or talks about the next. The feeling response, jealousy or try to compete. The correct response, being genuine, unaffected, maybe even agreeing. The availability test, what she does, makes plans, then cancels at the last minute. The failing response, immediately trying to reschedule or showing disappointment. The correct response, saying no problem, then making other plans. The attitude test, what she does, gives you an attitude or acts cold. The feeling response, asking what's wrong or trying to cheer her up. The correct response, matching her energy, staying cool until she corrects her behavior. These tests aren't conscious manipulation. They are unconscious behaviors driven by her need to assess your value. When you consistently pass them by, staying unperturbed and maintaining your frame, you show her you aren't needy for her approval. On a biological level, when a woman perceives a man's value as lower than her own, her body begins to reject him. This isn't conscious, but it happens in her subconscious. Her brain starts signaling that this man is genetically inferior, not worthy of reproduction. This manifests as a loss of sexual desire, increased irritability around him, and a general feeling that something is off in the relationship. This is why so many women in relationships stop being intimate with their partners. It's not that they don't love them. Their biological machinery is telling them not to reproduce with someone they perceive as weak or inferior. Her subconscious sees you've become weak, that you can't stand up to her, and therefore couldn't stand up for her. Women are survival creatures. When she looks at you, you've now become a bad bet for her survival. Understanding this can be painful but it's also liberating. When you realize her loss of interest isn't personal but biological, you can start making the necessary changes to reactivate her attraction. Here's an interesting psychological shift. When a woman is uncertain about your interest level, she switches from covert communication to overt communication. Let me explain. Typically, women communicate covertly, meaning they hint at what they want, instead of saying it directly. She might say, "I'm cold," instead of, "Can I have your jacket?" Or, "I'm hungry," instead of, "Let's get dinner." But when she's worried about losing you, she switches to overt communication. She starts being more direct, more affectionate, more obvious about her feelings. She'll text you saying, "I miss you," or "I can't wait to see you tonight." This shift happens because her hypergamous instinct tells her you might be higher value than she initially thought. She needs to make sure she doesn't lose you to another woman. When a woman is really into a man, she texts back on time, calls you back, always asks how your day was, and genuinely does things to make you feel she's interested. She switches to overt communication because her hypergamous mind can't stand the thought of losing a high-value prospect. This is where most dating advice gets it completely wrong. They tell you to hit the gym, make more money, dress better, and develop more skills. While these things help, they miss the fundamental point. You can be the most successful, attractive, best-dressed man in the world, but if you display low-value behavior, she will still lose interest. I've seen millionaires get dumped by women who work at coffee shops because they didn't understand these psychological principles. Conversely, I've seen average guys with average jobs have beautiful women completely obsessed with them because they knew how to maintain the right psychological dynamic. External upgrades might get your foot in the door, but psychological positioning is what keeps her interested long-term. Self-improvement isn't the answer. Passing interest tests is the answer. It doesn't matter if you make $500,000 or $100,000 a year, because revealing your interest reveals your sexual market value. It reveals what type of girl you're accustomed to getting. This might be the most counterintuitive part of female psychology. Women often choose a guy who treats them worse over the guy who treats them better. It's not because they enjoy being mistreated. It's because the poor treatment often signals higher value. When a man is willing to risk losing a woman by not prioritizing her every need, it shows he has other options. When he doesn't frequently seek her approval, it means he doesn't need her approval to feel good about himself. These are high-value indicators. On the other hand, the nice guy shows through his actions that he's just grateful to be with her. He's so accommodating, so eager to please, so afraid of losing her that he communicates low value in every interaction. This is why women sometimes stay with men who treat them poorly. She has something to aspire to. It's also why women leave men who treat them well. If you're good to a woman, rest assured, sooner or later, she will leave you. All women leave the men who are good to them. The more dates you try to take her on, the more you suggest vacations, the more calls and texts you make, the more she'll think he really likes me. That's nice, ... You know what? I don't really like him anymore. Women don't fall in love with men. They fall in love with the way a man makes them feel about themselves. When you make her feel like the prize, like she's doing you a favor by being with you, she feels powerful but not attracted. But when you make her feel she has to earn your admiration, that she's lucky to get your attention. She feels challenged and excited. This emotional state is what creates the deep, obsessive attraction that leads to real love. Women are led by their emotions. If her emotions are signaling, "This man is into you," that girl will text you. If her emotions are signaling, "He's low value, I'm not into him anymore," she'll pull back. The key is to make her feel she's always climbing to be worthy of your attention, but never make her feel she can't reach it. It's a delicate balance between challenge and hope. One of the most attractive qualities a man can have is a genuine abundance mindset. The feeling that he has plenty of options and doesn't need any one woman to feel complete. This isn't about actually having multiple women. It's an internal state of non-neediness, non-desperation. When you operate from abundance, you naturally do all the right things. You don't chase, you don't over-invest. You don't sacrifice your dignity for her attention. You're good to her because you want to be, not because you're afraid of losing her. This mindset is incredibly attractive because it's so rare. Most men operate from scarcity. They're so grateful for female attention that they'll do anything to keep it. The man with an abundance mindset is selective about who gets his time and energy. By simply withholding your interest, you effortlessly become that bad boy, that player. By not replying to a text or two, you become more attractive. You don't need to do anything crazy. Subtle adjustments in your behavior position you as a high-value man. Women are evolutionarily attracted to men who can lead, make decisions, and take responsibility. When you constantly seek her approval or let her make all the decisions, you fail to fulfill this basic masculine role. Masculine leadership isn't about being controlling or dominating. It's about being decisive, confident, and willing to take charge when necessary. It means having a vision for your life and inviting her into it, rather than reshaping your life around her preferences. For example, instead of asking, "What do you want to do tonight?" say, "We're going to that new Italian place downtown tonight." Instead of, "Is this okay with you?" say, "It's settled." You're not giving orders. You're being decisive. When you confidently take charge and make decisions, you're giving her the gift of being able to relax and trust your judgment. That's real masculine leadership. In any relationship, whoever invests more emotional energy has less power. Investment can be measured in many ways. Who initiates contact more? Who puts in more effort to meet? Who compromises more? Who shows more emotional vulnerability? The person who consistently invests more eventually loses the other person's attraction. This is a basic law of human psychology that applies to all relationships. This doesn't mean you should never invest or show you care. It means you need to be strategic about when and how you invest. Let her invest in you first, then match her level of investment. Don't always be the one to initiate contact, make the plans, or do the compromising. When investment is balanced, both parties feel valued and respected. When it's unbalanced, the person who invests less loses respect for the person who invests more. Frame control might be the most important skill you can develop for maintaining attraction. Your frame is your perspective on reality, how you see yourself, the relationship, and the world around you. Women constantly test your frame to see if you'll abandon your viewpoint to please her. When you consistently maintain your frame, it shows you're a strong, confident man who knows his worth. A man with strong frame control doesn't need to argue or defend his position. He simply maintains his perspective with quiet confidence, knowing she's testing whether he's strong enough to lead. This isn't about being stubborn or inflexible. It's about knowing clearly who you are, what you stand for, and not compromising to gain her approval. The uncomfortable reality is that love and attraction follow different rules. Love is about care, compatibility, and commitment. Attraction is about challenge, uncertainty, and the feeling of climbing upward. Most men focus only on love, care, support, and commitment. But without attraction, love means nothing. She may care for you, but she won't desire you. She may stay with you out of obligation, but she won't feel passion for you. The men who create lasting, passionate relationships are those who know how to maintain both love and attraction. They are caring and supportive, but they are also challenging and unpredictable. They are loyal, but they aren't readily available. Remember, this isn't about cruelty or manipulation. It's about understanding the psychological mechanisms that drive female attraction and working with them, not against them. The choice is yours. You can continue following the nice guy script and wonder why women keep losing interest. Or you can embrace these uncomfortable truths and start creating the passionate, loyal relationships you deserve. Stop trying to win her over. Start becoming the man she feels lucky to have won. This shift won't just change your dating life. It will transform your entire dynamic with women. This is female attraction, psychology, in its purest form. Use it wisely and watch everything change.